David Reece. I'm talking to you again. How's it going?
Doing great. Buongiorno from Italia.
I don't speak French. Just kidding.
Spaghetti.
SpaghettiOs. You've been in Italy for a long time, man. Are you ever coming back to the States? I know you love it there, but I
Yeah.
got to ask you that. You ever coming back? Besides for a tour. I mean, you going to come back and live?
No, my
No,
wife won't let me. I've
you're
been
done.
trying to coax her into moving back to Montana and buying a small farm and getting away from civilization, but she refuses. She's terrified of snakes. She thinks that
Yeah.
rattlesnakes are like everywhere. It's like an invasion. I made the mistake of pointing out a snake to her on the ranch one day, and she
Oh,
lost her mind. So
big mistake. Big
it's a
mistake.
it's a futile attempt.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's at least you tried. How long have you been
Yeah.
there in Italy now? It's been a while.
Be 10 years December this year.
Wow. That's amazing. What I find amazing is that, well, not only that you're still able to get out and do tours over there. Europe is a big place to play, but you're working like never before. It seems like you're working now in the last 20 years that you've ever worked in the last since you started your career. Like you're releasing records between Bangalore Choir, you know, Iron Allies, the solo records, man. I told you every time you release a record, we're going to talk, and here we are again. We just talked about Bangalore, and here we are with a new solo Reese record. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, actually, so a lot of that stuff was during COVID that I did. So it seems like I'm doing like a record every 6 months, but
Yeah.
they schedule it whenever they find appropriate, without really telling me. So I think they've actually released two records I did on the same day, two different record companies,
Wow.
and I've guested on a bunch of stuff with friends, like a band called Goot, some Russian friends. I did, the Wicked Sensation record three,
Hmm.
4 years ago. Um, it gets pretty cluttered, but I'm really not. I mean, I had to survive. I had to eat, man. I mean, I couldn't even leave the house for like 2 years.
Yeah. No, I know it was bad in Italy. I remember that. It was super bad. It was one of the worst places to get hit. You were stuck. Like you were locked down. You couldn't get away. If you did, you might not have
It
survived.
broke out. They said 30 minutes from my house. I was scheduled for a session the next day, and I was called like at 7 in the morning. He said it
Wow.
was like, I think a bomb happened or something. The whole town shut down. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I turned on the news, and it had actually started in that village. Some guy had come back from China and
Yeah.
had a meeting with like 20 of his staff, and everybody just got really sick in that town, like
Yeah.
literally 30 minutes from my house.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. I can't believe that. But that did that affect you writing wise? I mean, that's was going all over the world, right? People were talking about so much. Did that creep into what you wanted to say? Like as far as even if you wanted to get away from it, everyone wanted to talk about it. Did you try to get away from that or did you lean into it?
I lean into it because from the beginning, I was told I had a record coming out called Cacophony of Souls, like
Yeah.
that week.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I want to say 28 shows, maybe 38. I don't know. And I mean, from the 7th of March of 2020, the release date was the 13th.
Hmm.
I think the 7th was when it was announced, COVID.
Yeah.
And I think 5 days afterwards, I was getting five cancellations minimum per day. Yeah, so it definitely had an effect on me. I didn't know if it was the end of the world or what was going on. And then they forced me to be, when they kind of opened it up, you couldn't play unless you were vaccinated.
Yeah.
So, or had the booster or something. I can't remember what it
Some kind
was.
of
So I
proof of
started to
that
get,
or something. Yeah.
yeah, I got really
Yeah.
upset about that. And then I went to Denmark and took a day job roofing.
Oh.
And there they do the nasal swab.
Yeah.
And coming home to Italy, I went to, check in, and they said, oh, we don't accept nasal swabs in London, because I had the layover in Heathrow. And I said, what are you talking about? And then they pointed down the hall and they said, for 300 pounds, you can get a test and then you can get on the plane. I flipped out. I said, I'm negative. Let
Yeah.
me on that friggin' plane. And I wrote a lot about that whole dark period. And come to find out, after I'd had the shots and then the booster, we got deathly sick, the whole family, in like January the following year. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be free of it, and then we still got it, and it was like called Omicron or something.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah. And people
And then it
said that
just
people said that if you got that shot, well, it didn't affect you as bad. You could have died from it if you never got the shot. But I mean, if you still got it anyway, I mean, is
Yeah.
it any worse or
And
better? People who passed
I
away had
got,
underlying issues too. Like it's hard to say.
well, I
You
got
can
sick
figure that
from
out.
it. I
Yeah.
was hospitalized 3 months after that
Well,
I had the Omicron. I was hospitalized for 12 days.
well,
And my doctor said it was a direct attribute because of the vaccine. They were seeing the same symptoms all over Italy. I directly asked him, "Is this because of the vaccine?" And he said, "Yes." I can't lie. We're finding scientific data that it's affecting people. So that knocked me on my ass. So yeah, of
mm,
course. I mean it affected me greatly, and I to this day I refuse. I will never do that again. I
yeah, me
mean,
too. I hear you.
I'm not going to do it. I mean, it was I think it was a dry run, and it worked.
Yeah.
And look what happened. I mean, over here, venues are still really suffering because of it.
Mm.
In America, especially. I mean, I'm booking the tour starting March 1st. I mean, so many venues are like, man, we just don't have that kind of money. I mean, it's nobody's going out, and and it's
No,
crazy.
I know. I'm kind of almost surprised. I'm glad you're coming back over, but I'm almost surprised you're able to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, my tour manager is greatly responsible for a lot of that. Believes in me, Robert Anderson.
Yeah.
Um, you two just hooked up today. I
Yeah.
understand,
Good
and
timing. Perfect timing. Literally 5 minutes before I talk to you in person. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect.
he's
Just
great.
like
I've
that.
known him
Yeah.
since I was 17.
Oh, wow.
We kick off in Minneapolis, and
Are you there? I lost you. Did we lose internet? David, his screen froze up and I can't.
are you there?
Are you there? It froze up completely. Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you
Okay.
now.
There we go.
So yeah,
Doesn't like what we're talking about. We can't talk about COVID. Someone's shutting us down.
yeah, isn't that funny? Interesting, huh?
Interesting. Yeah. Here we go.
Here we
Here we
go.
go. We're
But
just
yeah,
talking about
I'm
music, man. Everyone just relax, calm down. It's all about
yeah, it's
music.
just
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just
we
music
can't be
talk.
honest. We can't be
Yeah.
honest, but we can
No
talk about
honesty here.
music, right?
No smiling, no laughing, no talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Are you I'm gonna assume that you're using American musicians. You have people already over in the States that are gonna be
Yeah,
there for the tour, right? That's gonna make things cheaper, obviously.
absolutely. I got a killer band, Billy Schlump on guitar, Logan Lobrook on drums, and we had a different bassist, but he had some health concerns with his knees. So I've got another young kid named Joey, and I can't even pronounce his last name. But first show is Route 47 in Fridley, Minnesota, and from what
Yeah,
I understand, it's nearly sold out.
that's good.
So, and then the next night is Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, at the casino, and then I'm floundering, with commitments on dates with Chicago and some other areas. So
Yeah, I was gonna say the only
hopefully,
ones I saw was Wisconsin and Minnesota. I didn't know if there was any more after that. I didn't see any. You said
yeah. I
Chicago
mean,
now.
I had 12 confirmed, but like we talked about a few months ago, their economic status and stuff. A lot of bands are being canceled out because of poor ticket sales, lack of interest of just going out, and
Yeah. There's a
that
lot
was a
on the
kick in the
road. There's a lot
balls.
of there's a lot of things on the road. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of crews that aren't available, buses, vans, like I mean venues, there's fees, there's just people not available to do the work to behind the scenes. People forget about that. You need,
Yeah.
people to get from place to place to haul the equipment to move that around. If people aren't available for that, what are you going to do? Doesn't matter where you
Well, what
are.
happened was COVID created a bottleneck. You had all the cancellations, and then they open the back to the free world, and then everybody has to honor their commitments and their
Yeah.
advances that they had from the promoters. So, I mean, like in Germany, there was one city I know of as a fact a few months ago. Wasp and Schenker were in the same little town.
Yeah.
I mean, half the people intended to show up for each group showed up. I mean, they were booked
Yeah.
on the same night, literally within spitting distance of each other. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. That's crazy. Two good shows too. How could you pick between the two?
Yeah,
Those would be
a lot of
amazing, but
people they
yeah,
were torn.
they
What
were
do I do?
torn.
Go
Yeah.
watch half Blackie, half Michael. I mean, what are we going to
Yeah,
do? I
I'm kind
mean,
of stuck. Yeah,
let's
exactly.
just stay home, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Before we move on to the new record, of course, one thing about the previous records that we touched upon, the cacophony and everything, do you find those records kind of got lost because of what happened? Like I mean, you always create new things, but do you find that they didn't get a fair shake because of everything that went down and they kind of got lost in the shuffle? How
Yeah,
do you feel about that?
cacophony. I hate it. Um, Cacophony outsold Blacklist Utopia. I mean, that record seemed to be a fan favorite over the number one right after. And while I love both records, I have to kind of admit Cacophony was a better album. So that
Really?
kind of leads into, yeah, in a way, I mean, I kind of got a little more progressive with Blacklist. I mean, there's great songs on it, but
Yeah, I
it's
thought that
really
was very
strange.
consistent. Yeah, Blacklist. Yeah,
People walk up and say, I got both, but I prefer Cacophony. And it's really weird. You know, you don't
interesting.
really know what the fans are going to respond like. So
True.
I love them both, but I have to say, from what I've been told, and people holding up the record in the merch booth or wanting me to autograph it, I see more Cacophony, but it definitely put a bit of a downward breeze on being, you know, when you make a record, anybody can make one in their bathroom right now. So
Absolutely.
you have to play live. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, unless you're an A plus act or a B plus act, you're not getting those opportunities. You know,
Mhm.
to where it's reasonable just to get out of the house and pay your guys. Because, you know, remember in the 90s, studios cost about the same as they do now. Musicians, from what I know, pretty much charge what they did then.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a bunch of great guys to go out for nothing and spend 4 days in a van for free to play in front of crowds. I mean, it's just not right. I don't ask that of my people. I'm the last guy to get paid.
Mhm. That's
It's
how you
my
keep
band.
good. Yeah, exactly. That's how you keep good guys working with you, though, because they know, hey, they're going to be well taken care of, at least by you. They may
Yeah,
not have a lot to go around, but what they do get, they're going to get it. They're not going to be screwed over. They're not. It's not David Reece first, you know.
right.
Some
Well,
people
I
could. You
always
could
make
do
it
that.
the new band. I have new players, Italian guys that
Yeah.
literally live 30 minutes from me here. And it was just by a stroke of the stars lining up that I ran into them. The one and only thing that I'll say, and maybe I'm not, I should be more of a dick that like a lot of people are, but I say one thing, two things. Don't ever lie to me and don't call me a thief. If you ever say that or suspect me of that, question me and ask me, hey, you said this, where's this? That's fine. But if you say those two things, you're done. You're out. My camp is empty. It's got there's an open slot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm booking flights right now for my Scandinavian tour in April. That takes hours. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking for, we fly to Copenhagen, then we fly home from Sweden. It's an endeavor with all the equipment, as you mentioned before, and lining up opening acts, back lines. It's not an easy task. And
Yeah.
I'm doing all of that with my name and my head on the chopping block. But at the end of the day, you guarantee them a fee for their performance, their rooms. You're dealing with promoters, hotels. You're dealing. It's an all day excursion. So if anybody ever questions my integrity, I don't go, well, hey man, I know you're upset. I just say that's it. You've offended me. Get out of my face. Go away.
Yeah. Don't go running your
Because
mouth.
there's
Come
no
and
proof
talk
of
to
it.
me if you got a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, yeah,
People
that's
get
it.
upset. I get it. I yell at my wife about things that I don't even know I'm talking about, and she does me. I mean, I'm like, I've seen my neighbors fighting with my son the other day over parking. I mean, in front of the house. I mean, it happens, but don't ever question. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'm not. I'm done with that. I'm done with being questioned. You know, of my good intention. I say, this is what I pay. Will you accept it? Yes, I accept it. Here's your money. I pay before each show, which is really nice. You hand a guy his fee for the performance, he kind of plays a lot better than he would if he had to wait
Yeah.
till the end of the week. You know what I
A
mean?
little bit.
Wow, I
Yeah.
just got paid. Let's go have fun. You know,
Yeah. He might hit those chords
it's
right. Yeah.
yeah, it's a psychological, it's a beautiful thing. So, but
Absolutely.
me, I come home and go through all the taxes and the money, and I'm like, well, you know, if it wasn't for the merch on that 4 day run, I would be really hurting. You know.
It sounds like you do everything in house. Like you don't really have. I know you have people working in your camp for you for little things, but it sounds like for the most part you do it all in house. You're in control of everything as far as
Well,
booking,
yeah, and I don't want that.
scheduling,
I mean,
promoting. I
I'm
mean, yeah, it'd be nice to hand that off to
I,
somebody,
I'm
but it's
scared.
also nice to
I'm
know.
sick of it.
Yeah.
but at least I know directly what's
You know
going
what's
on.
happening. You know what's happening in your house. You know how it's going. You don't have someone saying, "Yeah,
Yeah.
David, we got this," or "Don't worry, I booked this. We got this. The money's coming here. We don't." You know where it's coming and going. If there's a fuck up, well, it's you.
I get
Better that
copies
way.
of every agreement, and I do get pushback on it. What do you want that for? It's
Yeah, I'm sure you
business.
do. Yeah,
It's a business. I mean,
yeah,
you don't do a contract building your house without a contract, right? You
yeah,
don't.
exactly.
Yeah, man,
Well,
I'm
you
going to
certainly
finish that
can,
roof
but
for you. Yeah, and then you end up getting fucked, and then you're like, well, what happened? Well, I didn't do the business, which I've made that mistake. I don't even want to kind of count how many times. So I'm harsh that way,
yeah,
but I'm
you
always
got to be.
straightforward, and I'm really lucky because a lot of the promoters, I mean, a lot of times they'll offer to pay me in advance, like now, and I'm like, no, man, it's April or whatever. We'll deal with it like in the middle of March.
Yeah,
So I maintain a good relationship with the people I work with, and that's important to me. I know a lot of guys that don't, and
yeah.
those certain promoters call me and go, man, can you call so and so and get him to answer the phone? No, I'm not getting involved. I warned you before.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't need anyone else's troubles, and you're not going to put your name on the line for that. It's been too long. You've been how many years in this business? 1, 2 years. I mean, you don't need any more
Yeah,
hassle,
couple.
right? Couple. Yeah.
I watched real quick. I watched an interview with Robert Redford the other day, and
Nice.
they asked for his advice about acting. I mean, Robert Redford is superstar, right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of he's up there now,
I didn't know
and
he was still alive, to be
he's
honest with you.
yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
still looks rather reasonable.
Really?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
he got the
amazing.
gift from God, right? But
Awesome.
um, he said there's two things about entertainment. One was treacherous, and basically the other one was evil. So if you're prepared, your skin has to be extra thick. I mean, because he came from nothing and basically got lucky because of his good looks. Because he originally wanted to be a pro baseball player,
I didn't know that.
which he would have made a poster card for a card, right? He had all the
Oh,
looks and
yeah.
everything, but
Yeah.
he walked into acting in an accident, but floundered around for years, not knowing what to do until he did a play with Paul Newman,
Yeah. And then it
and
blew
the
up from
second
there.
movie
Yeah.
was Butch Cassidy, right? So,
Yeah. So kind of went from there.
boom,
Yeah. Yeah. Boom. It was off to the races.
that's how it works. But
Yeah.
if it's a treacherous business. There are no friends in the music business. I mean, there's guys that you work with that you deeply care for and love as
It's
that
the
are
word
brothers. And
business that people forget, especially people who aren't in it.
yeah, it's a business. I
Why
mean,
can't you go? Why can't you play with this guy? Why don't you just work things out with this guy? Why aren't you and Wolf hanging out every day? It's a business almost for it. It's a business. There's a reason why people don't tour at this stage of the game. They don't work with people they don't want to work with. Do you go back to your job you were at and work with the same people you were with before? No, it's the same thing. It's a company.
no.
It's hard to see it that way because it's music. There's still a business behind it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it. And people forget
Well,
that
what
second part.
people it's like you go to an office, right? I have a friend who just told me the other day. She said, I'm 56, I think she said. She goes, I'm taking an early retirement. I can't sit at my desk on the computer anymore. I can't do it. I don't like the people. They don't like me. I've been here 30 years. I can't do this anymore. I'm so unhappy. I want to die happy. Now, when you're in a band, you're around each other considerable amount of time.
More than your own family
Uh,
sometimes, more than your wife, more than your
yeah,
kids. That's your
and you're
that's your family, main family.
right. So
Four
you
different
better
marriages
have
on
that.
one bus. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And four lunatics that are as crazy as me. I mean, and you
Nice.
all got a bad day. I mean, it can be pretty weird. And then that's why you see a lot of these people in bands, doing their selfies, walking through cities, just going for a walk. I got to get
Yeah.
away from these people.
Separate
I got to,
dressing rooms if you can afford it, separate places. I mean, look at
and
the bigger
that's
bands.
come.
Look, yeah, they're all in separate buses, separate places. Look at Aerosmith, look at Motley Crue. You think they're all hanging out backstage, hugging each other and doing the same, doing cigarettes
Money
together? No,
talks. Money talks. It's
exactly.
not there. There's no love lost between those guys, and the only reason they're doing it, yeah, maybe they are respectful of each other, but they can't stand each other.
There's a big difference
But
between
if you're
bros
getting
and
offered
respect.
50 grand for an hour and a half a day to play, you're going to get on that bus or that flight and go do that gig. I don't have to
Exactly.
talk to you before or after. See you in the gig. See you on stage. You
Exactly.
know, that's a
It,
difference in my level.
no, I know, but it's all the same. It's the reason why you don't get back with certain people too, because it's just the money's not there. If the money was there, it might be a different story. But if it's not worth your time and energy and it's not worth the money, your happiness comes first.
Well, Herman and I talked about it. What if they did an Accept Fest? and like Schenker did. And I said, I do it with
mean,
you. He goes, absolutely. I said, let's get in a rental car and follow the
impossible.
bus. Yeah, I said, we totally agreed.
Impossible.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But you know, certain powers that be would never even consider that. And I would be open arms to be able to sing 4 or 5 or so of my songs from that era. But certain people don't want to even be reminded that they did that. And so, but it would
Absolutely.
be a great seller to bring the whole history of people that played in that band for the last 50 years. It's a great idea because there were rumors going around. It may happen, but no phone calls here.
I almost think that it could happen without certain other people because you have pretty
Sure.
much, you're in good contact with pretty much everyone else part of that, I would assume.
Yeah, not bad. I
So,
mean, I'm closest to Udo of all of
yeah,
them.
which is
Yeah.
surprising. Some people might find that surprising. I don't after we
Mm,
talk, but I mean, yeah, even Peter, like I'm pretty sure almost anybody can get up there at this point, except for one.
sure.
Yeah.
And then look at, I mean, like, let's just go there. I mean, Udo, he's selling out, and Peter's back in the band. I mean,
Yeah.
it speaks volumes of his importance of those being part of that. And they're doing the basically an accept set,
Yep.
and they're selling out everywhere. I
Yep.
mean, I'm
No
watching the
surprise.
show, and
Yeah, it's no
no
surprise.
surprise. I
No
mean,
surprise at all.
people, yeah,
It is what it is. So, of course, the most important thing is you. We always talk about you're the main star of this conversation.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So modest too. Baptized by Fire, which is about to be released about a month from now or less, March the 1st. It came to me out of nowhere. Not really, but it almost sort of did because the last time we spoke, which wasn't that long ago, I mean, on the record, we were talking new Bangalore Choir. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes another Reece solo record. It's Baptized by Fire. Tell me about how it started and why now and what inspired you again.
The Bangalore thing was a, a concoction of just us being asked to do festivals last year and some other stuff. And I got really lucky because I needed a studio because the COVID thing kind of stopped me from going that 30-minute drive and scheduling.
Yeah.
You know, as more night sessions. Then I heard about Riccardo Di Morosi in my town, Piacenza. So I went over to meet with him one day, and he was a young guy, and I'm like, okay, you know, you don't really know each other, and I've got these demos for some other bands they're paying me to sing on. So I said, let's just throw it up and see what happens. Couple days, not that thrilled, blah blah blah, but we grew to know each other. And then he brought in Nelo Savinelli, who's now actually playing drums in Iron Allies.
Right.
Francesco had to leave.
Yeah.
I brought in Nalo because I'd been working with him. I said, this kid's got it. He actually played on some of the Iron Allies demos. And those guys go, who's that guy? I go, that's the guy that I work with here. He's good. And
Hmm.
then, lo and behold, I find out he's got this beast of a guitarist brother named Nicolo. So Ricardo and I just kind of sat down thinking, let's just keep writing songs because we wrote a lot of the new Bangalore Choir stuff together and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are not
Nalo,
the same guys that were in Bangalore Choir doing writing with you? They're kind of the same people almost, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
then
thought.
Ricardo produced it, and we've grown together as a kind of a production team. I give him more credit than myself because I'm a nerd for it, but I don't really don't know how it works. But
Yeah.
he started bringing to me this youthful thing, and weirdly at the same time, my wife was going through a Chris Cornell phase.
Nice.
And I started cranking Audio Slave and Soundgarden again in my house, which when it came out, I was blown away. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a god, you know?
Yeah.
So then you meet up with guys that are a few years younger than you that, you know, kind of came out of that. And then they're really into the metal thing, new metal.
Yeah. You
That's what
mean
they
new
write
metal?
about.
Like, are you talking about new metal from 2000, like Korn and Limp Bizkit, or something like just newer
A
metal?
little bit of that. I mean,
Okay.
they're huge fans of Korn. They're huge fans of Nirvana. They're huge fans of everything that I wanted to hate, but I
The
knew it
late
was time
90s,
for
early
change.
2000s. Yeah, exactly. That time.
Yeah,
Okay. Just so I know what era you're talking about.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and when they listen to that stuff in the car, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What's he saying? Who is that?" And they're going, "That's so and so
Get the
goat
lyric sheet.
or from."
Yeah. Gold
Yeah,
whore.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I know.
yeah, I
I've heard
mean,
that band.
I'm. It's not my
Cattle
thing, but
decapitate. Cattle decapitation. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you're going, and they're like this. I mean, they're
Yeah.
headbanging
They're
in the
just like
car going to
going.
the gig,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, this sucks. And then after a couple times, you go, that's a pretty cool riff. What is
Oh
that?
yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
so. And then they love underground stuff, metal that nobody gets a chance to hear. So that influenced them. But collectively, I really think this album is the best I've done solo. I
Now
mean,
everybody, I'm gonna just because I can tell you this right to your face. Everybody says that when they first promote a new record.
absolutely.
What's
That's,
different?
I'm not,
What's
it's not
different?
the road.
David
What's
Reece.
different?
Yeah.
What's different?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I said, there was different music being thrown around my house, even Foo Fighters. Okay. I mean, I love David Grohl. I respect him beyond measure. I mean, the guy he just pounds it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how he can shout like that as loud as he does, but
I know. Yeah.
I mean, then I started thinking, I wonder who was really part of the songwriting team with Kurt Cobain. You can really hear it, or did it rub off from him from Kurt? I don't know, but what's different about it is it's a fresh sound. It's young guys that have brought that new stuff that kind of skipped my generation because I grew up on Whitesnake and Bad Company and Zeppelin and
And that's
Queen and
Whitesnake pre Here I Go Again. That's like 78, 79, early 80s
yeah.
Whitesnake. We're talking
When
so
when
people
Coverdale
know.
was trying to be
The bluesy.
Paul Rogers. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
trying
when
to
he
be
had the
Paul
guys from
Rogers.
Deep Purple in the band, like Ian Pace and John Lord were in the
Yeah,
band, yeah, which is great. There's some great records there people don't know.
Ready and Willing. I
Yeah.
mean, those are great.
Come and
I
Get
mean,
It, yeah. Even Slide
it's a
It In
great
up until
album.
that point when John Sykes joined them at the start, it was good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before he
Yeah,
lost his voice for a bit. Yeah.
sadly,
Yeah. Then he came back.
but you know, I don't want to say it's my best record. Bad choice of words. It's something that I'm very happy with. Um, I was going to say something. I had this great speech plan, but I totally forgot it. It probably means nothing. That's why I forgot.
No, I changed
I'm
direction
just
by
going to say,
calling you out on your best record. It was my fault.
well, it's cool. I like it. It's a challenge, but you know
Yeah.
what? Push forward and whatever comes that I write that I say, yeah, that represents me. I'm going to release it. And you know what? When Enemy Is Me came out, the video,
Mm-hmm. Which I just
I
saw.
got it slammed, dude. Look at how many views happened. I mean,
Yeah, I
people are
saw
going,
the
holy,
comments, the views. I was like, holy, and that got released what as the time of recording, what, 2 days ago, a day ago? When was that
yeah,
released? February 1st?
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
crazy.
Normally they do Friday, but
Yeah.
Alberto did it on Thursday. I thought, you know what? If I get a couple thousand views, by Sunday, I'm tickled to death. Well, look at it. I mean,
I know.
it's been, and the reviews have been fucking great, man. I mean, I'm like, wow. They go, Reece, you really pushing it on this one. I go, oh yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. I'm angry. I'm happy. All the emotions are on it, and
Yeah.
these young guys, dude. When we go to rehearsal, I don't know if I told you this before. When we practice for a gig, I'll go there and they're already there. And I go, what's going on? They go, I mean, we've been rehearsing for a couple hours the set. I'm like, really? Because
They're
it's
dialed
hard to
in.
get
They're ready
everybody.
to go. Yeah, they're
And
ready
then
to
I
go.
sing
Yeah.
90 minutes and then my voice is shot. So I'm like, well, let's go get a pizza, guys, and hang out. And they go, no, we want to run the set a few more times. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, wow. They're really into it.
Yeah.
That I needed that kickstart. I mean, and working with guys that have done it for so long, it's kind of like, do we really have to practice? Let's just do a lap jam in the dressing room before we go on. And live you can feel that. But these guys, I mean, they analyze the songs and tell me, Dave, you're not singing that right. It goes like this.
Oh
Oh yeah, you're
wow.
right.
They're pushing
So, and
you.
especially
Yeah.
the drummer, he pushes me really hard.
That's good. Well,
So
you need it. And it doesn't sound like I've told you this a million times before, not just because you're here in front of me, but your voice over the years just seems as strong as ever. And I want to ask you about that too, because it's easy for people like me to say, "Oh, David, your voice is good. I love your voice. It sounds great." I mean, I'm a big fan, which is all true. But when you hear things like that, do you believe it? And B, how does that make you feel when you hear that? Like really feel? Do you feel self-conscious about that? Do you feel like it's warranted?
I don't want to believe it for, like, hey man, I really got it. How does it make me feel? I just feel like lucky me because I know a lot of guys that are my age that can't do half of it anymore,
Yeah.
and they're out there trying to show everybody they can, and it's really bad.
Or they're putting it on tape,
Yeah, and
sadly.
I mean, my band is live. I mean, we use a couple backing harmony tracks, but that's it because some of that shit's in space, the notes. But I just feel lucky. I mean, I took care of my voice. I took a lot of voice lessons. Matter of fact, I'm in language school now and I'm back in vocal school.
Wow.
I'm doing 3 days of voice classes a week, and I do 2 days of language school a week. I do voice in the morning for 2 hours every day, and then I do 3 classes. So I don't know how
Where
many
you're putting
hours.
the work in, you're doing what needs to be done to keep your voice in shape because you care
Because
about the performance you deliver, both on record and
right,
obviously live. That's the
because
difference
I
in the world.
notice. I'll be honest. You notice the older you get that those two little strings, the vocal cords, they're a muscle, and
Mhm.
it's like a soccer player or an athlete. You notice little nuances that change, and you have to learn how to sing around with them to
Right.
get there. I don't have that get there like I did on Eat the Heat or Bangalore, the first album. I don't have that anymore, but I can get there in a way where it's acceptable. But I don't do it as often. Um,
Because you don't sing those as well. I guess you would because they're quote unquote hits that people would know from you. But do you find yourself trying to hit those? Like, give me an example. Like, let's say I don't know, Bangalore, like Angel in Black, or if it's Accept Ecstasy. I don't know what they would call.
a hard one. Ecstasy is hard. That you give me just another that scream
Yeah, that
part.
part.
That's
Yeah, I
that's
hear you.
up.
Yeah,
But Freight Train Rolling off Bangalore on Target, that's a bitch to sing. I don't care. I'll put you up against anybody. Sing that song 4 nights in a row. It's a ball breaker. And I don't know why the hell I wrote it in that high of a key because probably in those days I could sing it a lot easier. But you gotta.
yeah,
It's up here. Singing is 99% in your head.
yeah.
Uh, and then you got to deal with colds and no sleep. And that's one thing I'm a staunch supporter of rest, no alcohol, don't smoke. Of course, I'm chewing on a cigar, but I never like it. I just love the taste of
Just yeah.
nicotine. But
Well, you mentioned
I,
before we talked a few hundred episodes ago. You talked about you quit drinking too at that point. That was a while ago,
mhm.
a couple of years ago. I think it was during or pre-COVID, right? You quit drinking.
I
You had
quit.
enough.
It was 5 years sobriety last September.
Yeah, so it's been a while. I think it's one of the first things we
Mhm.
talked about the first time we chatted. I was not so I wouldn't say surprised, but I was surprised to hear that you realized that was an issue and you cut down and it helped your voice at the time, is what you told me.
I think so. I think it
Yeah,
gave me a few extra years. Now I
yeah,
don't know. My voice teacher says sounds pretty good. We got to work to this range here. This middle needs a little strengthening. And I'm going to go get checked out in the summer. Just, the normal vocal checkup, look down
mm,
the throat through the nose and see if there's any polyps. You'd be amazed. Freddie Mercury had notes and he did the last Live Aid. He had a couple of
yeah.
calluses on his vocal, but listen to him. You kind of learn how to
You
sing with
wouldn't
it.
know. Yeah,
Yeah. But this is rock and roll stuff. It's like listen to a drill sergeant in the Marines, and every one of them's got a voice like Froggy. It's because
yeah.
they're shouting all day.
Oh my God, just ripping their cords apart. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine. Yeah,
but
crazy.
if you do it right you're not drinking while you're on stage, getting all bloated and stupid and doing stupid shit and then
Yeah,
hurting your voice, and you're not in the van talking for 2 or 3 hours. Because the worst part about a singer is the come down time from the adrenaline.
that's
It's
what I've
weird
heard.
because you gear up all day, do sound check, and then you sit around in a dressing room like an idiot or go to some restaurant. And then you go back to the venue, the anxiety of, how many people are here. You start hearing the noise out in the room, and then you go do the gig and you get all jacked up. And then you go back into the dressing room, you sweat down. Then you go to merch and talk for a couple hours, selling your product.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Then you
always
get in
using
the
that
van
voice.
and yeah, and you're in
Yeah,
the van, and everybody's the guys that do drink, and kind of blah, blah, blah. So you get involved, and
yeah,
you're all chatting it
exactly.
up, and then you go. The hardest thing to do is shut up,
Yeah,
yeah, because you're pumped. Or you walk out of the venue, and a guy in a van drives you right to a hotel and said, "Here's your room. Good night." And you're standing there going, your ears are ringing, going. It's like I just got into a fist fight with Mike Tyson
oh
and I
God.
got to come down and go to sleep because I got to get up at 5:30 and be in lobby call at 7:30 after breakfast and be in the van at 7:45 and drive 8 hours to the next city. It's hard, man.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I'm just looking at the time. We're losing time. We got 5 minutes. It's gonna cut me off in
Well,
five
I want
minutes.
to I want to mention the artwork on the album as well.
Yeah,
It's Newton Artworks, Richie Newton. He did a great job. I can't say enough about him. He really, really did well with that. I want to give him a plug.
yeah,
The
yeah, for
record
sure.
comes
We can keep talking when it runs out. I'll wait for it to restart again if you want to come back if you got time. You want to do that so you give you enough time to feel like you said everything, or do you have to go?
I think I said everything. I mean, check out the video, Enemy is Me. And
What
once again, Chad, huh?
do that plug again just so we get a good copy of everything because I kind of cut you
Uh,
off. So
the
talk to me about the
artwork,
cover work. Yeah, the big chief.
yeah,
He's super aggressive, like
yeah,
you are
yeah,
in the
man.
video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going to do like an AI thing with him, like going to war or something, just massacring people. I don't know, but I
do
kind
it.
of did it like what they did with Eddie. I mean, they keep
Yeah,
evolving. That was Richie Newton from Newton Artworks. I mean, I got to give him a plug. He's great, and you can reach him on Facebook. Very professional, you know, on time, willing to listen to ideas and actually add greater ideas than I had. Like you said, Dave, you're doing everything. You're in the driver's seat. Yeah, but you know, I like it when somebody feeds
yeah.
back. You know,
You can hand it off to certain people. You know it's going to get the results
yeah,
that you want. Yeah. Before I let you
they're
go,
chumming.
yeah, exactly. Before I let you go with the time I have, I want to talk to you a bit about the live shows coming up. So in the live set, without giving too much away, will you be playing some of this record as well as Accept, as well as Bangalore
Yep,
Choir? Do you think
yep.
is there anything you're going to leave out of that because you just think you won't be able to pull it off, or you just don't want to try it again anymore? Like, what would you leave off a set at this point in your
We're
life?
going to trim out some of the Bangalore stuff, and maybe one or two of Eat the Heat. But we're doing Ecstasy. We're doing Generation Clash. We're going to showcase a lot of the new album. We done some classic covers that I do my thing on
Love
that go
hurts.
over really well. No, we're not doing that. We're doing Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, but I do it
Oh,
the
nice.
David Reece way. Uh,
You know why I say love
I'll,
hurts? You know why I say love hurts, right? Because you did
yeah,
that,
yeah, it
and
was.
you killed. I don't know. We were talking about your voice, but what you did there, I told you this last time. The heights you got to that, man, it's insane.
I mean, that was like what? That came out July last year. I mean,
Yeah,
I literally did that song in one take.
yeah. He
I
told me
mean,
that. I
I
can't
said,
believe
throw
it.
it up. And Rick Cardo looked at me and go, Jesus Christ, come in here and listen to that. I go, it
Yeah,
sucked. He goes, dude, listen
dude.
to it. And I went, hey, I nailed it. And that's Stan
Yeah,
McCaffrey. I mean, that guy's voice was ridiculous. That's
I
like
know.
Brian Johnson on steroids, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely. Or Axl Rose, who was a big influence.
Maybe.
Yeah,
But, you know, I mean, I would like to throw that song in the set. It kind of depends on the night. I mean, we got just a few dates in the States and then I come back and do a pretty good run in Scandinavia. We'll feel out what works in the rehearsals because they're long rehearsals in America.
yeah.
But definitely, I want to showcase. There's another one there'll be another video coming out. I think the 1st of March. It's called "We've Lost the Fight" from the new album. And then during the tour, we're doing some shows at Blaze Bailey in Scandinavia,
No,
and we're
nice.
going to film the audience of a song "Tomorrow Don't Matter Today," which is the last track on the record that Niccolo wrote the music to. It's fabulous, and he does great video work as well. But we're going to film the crowd because it's like a sold out show with Blaze. So we want that interaction just for the media, for the bookers, and everybody to see that hey, this isn't just some 20-person nightclub act. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You're a busy man, my friend. Go to David Reece Official on Facebook. That's everything you got going on. There's always posts. It's a busy page. Everything David Reece. You can check it out. Get your fill of that. Can't get enough. And the next time you release a record again, maybe I'll be better prepared, and we'll do this again
All
because
good.
that's you threaten me every time we do this. We're going to talk again, so we're gonna make it happen.